Welcome to 500 Doors, your real estate podcast. Welcome back to 500 Doors. I'm excited that you are joining us because I think I have a kindred soul in the studio today. It's funny because I love puzzles. I'm the type of person, I'm always playing those hex things on my phone or whatever. I like to figure out how things move and it's awesome when I get a chance to meet somebody who is in the same mind space. How do you build the picture you want to see? And I think that's awesome. Welcome to the show, Hanifa. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. I'm excellent. Thank you so much for having me.
You know what? You're down in Atlanta, Georgia. And like I said, before we had a half hour conversation, like I always do here, before we even get to the show, and I love Atlanta. And it's like Hollywood South, baby. And it's
It
just a
is.
crazy, crazy cool city. Not a lot of cities have that confluence,
Mm,
that merge of real old traditional history
yeah.
and that new high energy.
Yeah.
And Atlanta seems to be doing a really good job of it.
They are. They really are. They're doing a great job of it, and that is really what's attracting so many people. So much so that we're like, please don't come.
We're full.
We're
We're
full.
full. We're full.
Exactly. But yeah, it's a beautiful place to be in, and it's has tons of energy. If you can't find something to get into or to have fun with, you really don't want to do anything. So
So, Hanifa, you have a killer background, like your education. I'm a real estate agent of a couple decades, and I'm like, I'm a cosmetologist from the state of Kansas. I have great hair. I can sell your house. I was a very good agent. But you have an you have CEO level credentials.
thank you.
You have Berkeley underneath you. You have your MBA in finance. Like you have all the pieces that really make understanding home ownership as a legacy component
Yes.
that I don't run across this very often. I mean, I interview amazing agents, fun agents all the time, but your credentials are very unique within the real estate space. So, what I'd love for you to do is just to take a moment, share
Mhm.
with us who you are, your origin. I love the fact. Please share with us your origin, how you got to Georgia, and give us a little bit of that journey of what makes Hanifa.
Sure. So Hanifa Magaffie, I moved here, gosh, 20 years ago, and my background is really in finance. So I was in the finance industry for, gosh, 18 years or so, and was not planning to do that. Actually, was planning to get my degree in French and go into some type of international business. I did get my degree in French at UC Berkeley, got my master's in finance and marketing from the University of San Francisco. Family is originally from there, but even before that, I lived overseas for many years. I was born in Accra, Ghana. My father was a U.S. diplomat. So for really my entire youth up through most of high school, I was living and learning and growing internationally. Ended up in Georgia with my parents. My father retired, and it was a toss up. Do they come back to the California Bay Area or do they come to Georgia, where my brother was actually in school? And they chose to come here. So they have been here far longer than I have. But once I was trying to make a decision as to where I wanted to land after having my son, I ended up in here in Atlanta, still in the finance field, but began to transition into real estate after I purchased my third home. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he gave me a challenge because, ironically enough, when I purchased my third home, I actually got into a bad accident and couldn't work for a little while. So he's like, you should get your license. You've been talking about it. This will be a prime time for you to do so. I was a little hesitant because I had gotten a concussion, and I was like, I don't know if I could do it, but I'm always up for a challenge. And I told him, if I can find a class within the next couple of weeks, I will attend and get my license. And lo and behold, I think we had that conversation on a Wednesday, and that Monday there was a class starting. So got my license and did real estate part time for about 6, 7 years. And then I've been doing it full time since then. Actually, went full time at the end of 2019, which, knowing what happened in the beginning of 2020 was probably not the best time, but have a huge, huge support system around me that, kept pushing me forward. And it's like, no, this is what you're going to do. So that's been awesome. And then just a little bit additional background, my grandfather was in real estate. So he was a general contractor, and he built homes all over the Bay Area. So he built homes, he built commercial spaces, churches, and a message that he often sent to all of his grandchildren was that, wealth is built in real estate. If you want to have some type of foundational wealth system, you invest in real estate. So that has always been in the back of my mind, and didn't know how that was going to present itself in my future, but here we are. I'm enjoying the ride, so to speak. So
That's awesome. And your grandfather's absolutely right. If we look historically, real estate does account for the majority of legacy wealth.
yes.
I mean, what is it? The Catholic Church, the wealth is not in the parishioners, it's in the land they owned.
Right.
McDonald's, the land they own. So I mean, Sears, when it finally closed up its doors, which Sears should have been Amazon, they already had all the information, and that's
Right.
that inability to adopt or
Mhm.
to transition. But I mean, at least they had one final kick at the can. They had any of their actual standalone locations they owned as opposed
Mhm.
to leased.
Right.
So that at least had something that they could give their shareholders at the end of the day. So and then, when we look at, human beings, the amount of wealth we see this in, large corporations. Well, here in Canada, we have a company called Boardwalk, and Boardwalk was started in the 80s by a couple of brothers. So in the 80s, we had this huge recession. It was all across North America. And if you were in any areas that were directly connected to the petroleum industries, you had a greater impact.
Mhm.
And so here in Calgary was to the point where everybody was just mailing their keys to their homes
Wow.
back to the banks
Mm.
because the interest rates had gone up to 20 something percent. And then the recession hit, and they were just like, here you
Right.
go. We're done. We're out. Right. And
Mhm.
what was happening was Boardwalk came in, and this is where seeing opportunities. This is
Mhm.
really important. And I went to a great I went to a great I had was hosted I went to a dinner, a gala dinner for women in entrepreneurs, women in business, that's being hosted by one of the banks, and they were showing these trends since
Wow.
1975 when the market was going up and when people were selling their stocks
Mhm.
and such. It was very fascinating. But the Boardwalk came in and scooped up all those properties for like literally $2.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
$2. $2, $3. They would buy the property. They would maybe assume some of the loans. We used to do loan assumptions here without qualifying. Without qualifying. Woohoo, buddy. so and without qualifying would be two types of people. One,
Right.
high risk, yee, let's do it.
Right.
And the other one's like, okay, we're safe, we can do this, right? But yeah, so it legacy real estate is so important, and I think that's part of what's contributing to, we see these young people that are very disenfranchised.
Mhm.
Yeah.
True.
And I think that is part of it, because like knowing that real estate is achievable
Right.
is part of that. Yes, I'm going to leave a legacy. It's worth getting out of bed every day. I can do this.
Right.
And I love that that is actually one of your focuses, is also ensuring to help start the journey of homeownership. Um,
Absolutely.
let's talk a little bit before we dive into the different components of your business puzzle. um, let's dive into give me a little bit of, if I were looking to buy, sell, or move within, what do you love about Atlanta? And do you have a specific, because Atlanta's huge. When I say Atlanta, I
Right.
mean Atlanta could be the size of a small island. I mean, it's
Right.
a huge city. But is there any specific areas that you do a high focus in, or you specialize in?
I would say that probably in the West End area. So, as to your point, right? So, Atlanta, everyone says, well, where are you from? I'm from Atlanta. Well, Atlanta can go as far out as Alpharetta, which is, 40, 30, 40 miles away. So, but I like to focus within the perimeter. So, we have a 285, and oftentimes we refer that to within inside the perimeter. So West End, whether Ormond Park is an area, it's not. Um, I shouldn't say it's not well known, but it's not one of those areas that people often think about. It is close to Grant Park. It is just outside of the hustle and bustle of right downtown. It gives you a nice neighborhood feel, and but it has like is walkability. There's walkability for families where they can walk to restaurants and stores, and then of course the Beltline is actually being built in that area as well. I think that it should be finished probably end of next year or the following year, but I like the smaller communities because I like to be able to, for my first time home buyers, they're looking for a community to be able to fit into, right? They're not looking to be oftentimes, they're not looking to be part of just a cookie cutter establishment. So, I would say Ormond Park, the West Side. I like Little Five Points. Little Five Points reminds me a lot of UC Berkeley. It reminds me of Oakland. They have really quirky vintage shops and restaurants. It's close to the Carter Center. They have a great park over there, the Freedom Park, and the homes are reasonable size. Not You don't find a lot of the super new construction over there, but they do have a lot of older homes that are have been renovated. So those are some of the areas that I like to focus in.
Awesome. I like that, little 5 points. I think that's somewhere I would probably end up. I like I like
Yes,
I
yeah.
like yeah. Hey, I just found out my new bookstore that I'll be going to here in Calgary. I think it's called Slow Burn. It's a romance bookstore. I'm going, and it has a wine bar. It's like, hello,
Yes,
if you have a single men's group, I would think the store next door is what you need to take over. Just saying.
right, right.
If you like women in their 50s, this is the place for you guys to hang out. But no, that little 5 point sounds awesome. And I love the fact that you know the personality, because every community has a personality.
Yes, it does. Every community has a personality. And, when you start working with your clients, you start to know what their personality is because oftentimes you'll have that initial conversation with them and they'll say, these are the things that I want. And easily, 7 times out of 10, by the time they find something, it's not what they said they wanted. Because you start to get to know their personality, you start to see the things that they gravitate towards, you start having a little deeper conversations around the whys. Why do you like this? And why do you like that? Or why do you not like this? Right. And so you end up, I literally just closed with a client 2 weeks ago, and we were laughing about it at the closing table because what he purchased is exactly the opposite of what he said he wanted. And so, but we kept looking at homes and he was hemming and hawing. And so I finally said, you know what? No. I said, we're going to go look at this home. Oh, but it has this and I didn't want this. And oh, but it has that and I don't want that. I said, that's okay. We're going to come look at it. And literally, I could see in his eyes as he walked through the door. I mean, they lit up in just his posture and his affect and his voice. I knew this was the house. I didn't say anything. I needed him to realize that. But it's interesting when you see clients that are feeling that community and realizing, oh, this is it. This is home.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and it's funny how bad pictures can turn them
Oh.
off before they even get to the house.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we had a client, I think like 6 years ago, and this house had been on the market for like 6 months, and it was
Mhm.
slightly odd layout, but it was a cool house.
Mhm.
But because they did not do professional photography, they did not know how to position that house, and and we've done this tons of times, like, we'll
Right.
take somebody, they have all the blue light bulbs in, so the pictures look cold and they look
Right.
small. We
Yeah.
take and, when they move in, I bring a general contractor over or a handyman,
Yep.
and we change all the light bulbs out. "Here
Right.
you go," you know? Um, and they
Exactly.
save tens of thousands and sometimes 100,000 or
Mhm.
more on a house just
Yep.
because the home is not properly prepared or represented.
Right. That's true. Very true.
So, yeah, getting them in the door when they're like cats in a bath. I don't wanna see that, right? I know everything. Um, so when we talk about community, how like, let's start off with, what does the word community mean to you?
That is a good question. And I'll start off by answering that by saying that the name of my LLC is Ujima Realty Group. And Ujima Realty Group is a Swahili name that means collective work and responsibility. So I was very intentional about using a word and creating an LLC that meant community, that meant something that has always been important to me. um, and specifically what Ujima means and what it emphasizes is the importance of community and the importance of collective effort, right? So collectively working together, essentially to accomplish a goal, or just being able to work together to feel like you're in a community. And for me, community could be anything from as small as you and your best friend, to a large community that is trying to accomplish or fulfill some goal, or push forward some effort, or some cause. So community is, two people, it could be three people, it could be just your friends and family. I have a community amongst my real estate, friends and mentors and colleagues. I have community with those who love to travel. So I have multiple communities, but specifically when it comes to real estate, just as you just mentioned, community is really, where do you feel the most at home? Where do you feel like your spirit is at ease, at peace? You have an alignment with those who are around you, people that are supporting your goals and can understand where you're coming from. And one of the reasons why I enjoy what it is I do is because even though I am working with individuals, at the end of the day, they become my friends and they become also my community, right? I help them to find their community. When we find that home for them, when we, or even if we're selling a home and moving to someplace else, we're helping them to move from one community to the next. So it is literally baked into my the name of my company. So it is something that I take with me everywhere.
I you 110%. 100, I totally, I mean, I don't know very many professions out there that allow us to be part of people's legacy
Hmm.
and build their community.
Right.
Like, it really is an amazing opportunity
Hmm.
that,
Yes.
in some ways, I think was hijacked a bit by media
Yeah.
and turned into this fashion show.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
real estate's not a fashion show. It is orthopedics, baby. It is orthopedics. You put those shoes on and you get out there and you serve. How do you serve? What are some of the things you do as community initiatives or pay it forwards or volunteerism? What are some of the things that you do within your community? How do you nurture community?
Right now, really, I am in my community. I live on the border of what's considered Decatur and Stone Mountain, and we have a very large community. We have over 500 homes in our community. So I'm often involved in the different community activities that we have. We do, community walks. We have movie nights. So, once the weather starts getting warmer, we have movie nights for the kids. We have community garage sales. So I like to really be involved in all of those things because one, it allows me to get my face out there and introduce myself as a community realtor, but it also allows me to be able to provide service because oftentimes, in these different events that we're doing, I'm able to have really in-depth conversations with people, and you start learning things. You start realizing that people need certain things, certain services. And part of what I do as a real estate agent or realtor, as you just mentioned, is we are a lot of things, right? And if you're really good at what you do, you're going to connect with a lot of different people and you'll have a lot of different people in your back pocket. So if someone needs a very good contractor, I have that. If someone needs someone who's an excellent electrician, if someone needs someone who owns a dog sitting and grooming services, I know someone. So, I'm often teased because I'm told that I am the one that knows that knows someone in every different area. But I enjoy being able to provide that service, right? That is a service that I can provide to my community with it where I live, and then also outside of my community. I have oftentimes people who will call me and say, "Hey, someone was asking me XYZ. I don't know, but I'm sure you must know." So it is one of those things that, people think, oh, you're just a real estate agent. No, ma'am. No, sir. We are a lot more than that. We are psychologists, we're family therapists, we're dog sitters, we're babysitters. I mean, we're all of those things. And to your point, what we do in our value has been devalued because of the whole social media and all the stuff, because you see the glitz and the glam. You don't see what's really going on. You don't see the work that we put into our businesses. We don't see, clients literally falling into your arms, collapsing, having nervous breakdowns, and you have to, instead of freaking out, you have to manage that situation and help, figure out what's really going on to be able to get it across the finish line if you can, but
Yep.
everything is so glamorized. But this is a very humbling, a very rewarding business, but it's a hard business. It is a
It
hard
is.
business,
It is. It's a
so
life choice. That is for sure.
there
It's
you have
not a
it.
job. It's a life
It's a
choice.
life choice, absolutely.
I love the fact, so if everybody looks in a little bit further, just right to the right side of the screen, you'll see a vision board. And I love the fact that, and I picked up on that immediately, was the vision
Yeah.
board. And that really seems to lend to, a couple things that you love is putting the puzzle pieces together. That
Mhm.
new homeowner,
Mhm.
which again would be that nurture space. Can we
Right.
get across? Because sometimes becoming a new homeowner will take 2 or 3 years of
Mhm.
working with them just to get everything in alignment. And
Absolutely.
then the investment
Right.
owner, how do you, in keeping them on the reels, because the or rails, because investment, we tend to be, there's not an emotional connection, so you can
Right.
be a bit more aggressive, but you still
Mhm.
have to deal with the fact that you're dealing with somebody else's possession,
Right.
right? So you're still dealing with emotions. Um, in that space, walk me through a little bit. What do you do uniquely working with those? Because both of them are very similar
Mhm.
in their mindset. It's a journey of building.
Right. Um, this is a good question because again, the closing I had just a couple of weeks ago was with a brand new first time homeowner. He's rented for many years. He's, in his mid 30s, and he, essentially was like, I want to do everything my friends are doing. So everyone's buying a house. I want to buy a house. And I really sat down with him and helped him to understand that yes, this is great. You know, you're buying a house, you're making a great financial decision, but what does that really mean? Right. And oftentimes in our house search, I had to remind him, or we had the conversation around, this is going to be your first home of many homes. So you're not going to find the perfect home. You're not going to find your dream home. And you really shouldn't be trying to find your dream home on your very first home. So having that conversation and helping to set those expectations for him, I realized was very helpful, because at the end of the day, we had a conversation after the closing, and he said, I really appreciate you helping me to set expectations, really make sure that you're allowing me to go through the emotions of what it means to purchase a home, but also helping me to understand that this is part of my financial legacy, right? He said it is something that I it was overwhelming for him, but he appreciated the fact that I was able to be calm enough to help him along the way. So that was for the first time homeowners. And I often take them step by step, ask the questions that you need to ask, because I'm going to share everything with you as to what this process is and is not. But you're always going to have questions. Do not be afraid to ask questions, because I want you to feel very comfortable in this process. Now, investors, like you said, are on the other side, so to speak, of the spectrum, because this is more so, either they've done this before and they're just adding to their portfolio, or maybe this is the first time that they're buying an investment property. And right now, I'm working with both types, right? So I have a new investor out in California who wants to buy here in Georgia. I have a seasoned investor who's looking for land because he wants to build, you know. And for both of them, what I have to do is I need to make sure that I understand what is the end game, right? What is your end game? Are you renting? Are you buying? Are you building to sell? Are you building to rent? What is your end game? And any investor knows that at the end of the day, the numbers have to make sense. If the numbers do not make sense, we're not moving forward. And I have to have a very in depth conversation with them around, what are your numbers? What are you planning to do? What are you trying to do? And for both of them, they're actually coming from out of state. So, in these particular cases, really educating them on the Atlanta market. Where are the good places to purchase land to build on, to make sure that you get a profit to be able to fulfill your goal, right? Um, for the one out of California, where should you be purchasing for an investment property that has a renter in it? You don't want to buy all the way out and coming if they work in the city, right? So being able to educate them on the best pockets to look in and the reasons why. And then, of course, all of the technical parts of that, which is, your comps and your so on and so forth. But they are two specific different types of conversations that I'm having with them.
And it's interesting because the end game, the investors are very, very, they know what that is, right? So they're
Mhm.
doing that. Whereas the new homeowner probably isn't even thinking about the end game.
Not thinking about the end game at all. And I have to make them think about the end game, right? I have to let them know that this is the beginning of your journey. So part of that end game, right, is one, this is not your forever home. And two, after this is done, we're having a financial conversation about what you've just done. And how does that add to your financial portfolio moving forward? And what do you do to protect what you've just done?
Yeah.
Because you've purchased a home, and yes, this is a home that you're going to build memories and stuff in, but this is also a financial investment that you've just done. So how do we protect that?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I always did in my real estate career was, if I'd place somebody in a first home, either condo, apartment, townhome, starter home, whatever it is, I always tried to plant the seed that the goal would be to keep this
Mm-hmm.
as an investment property when they move up into their next property, if they choose to ever move up,
Exactly.
right? Um, is there any from your financial background, is there
Mhm.
anything that you do along those lines with your new home buyers to actually help them be able to transition from not just a one-stop shop of new home buy and then sell that and go up to the next one and sell that and go up to the next one, but with the potential of building an investment if they choose to do so? Is there anything you do around that?
Yes, there is. So my conversations with them around that really focus on how do we're looking at budget first because oftentimes new homeowners, that's the one big shocker for them when they first get their first mortgage, right? They're like, oh my gosh, and then all the other things that come with home ownership. So helping them to look at their new budget, because now they have to create this new budget because they have this new lifestyle,
Yeah.
but also figuring out how to start saving money, right? You want to continue to save that money because at some point, to your statement, they're going to be looking to purchase something else, right? Hold on to this as an investment, but you're purchasing something else. Um, and then how do you help pay off this one quicker, right? How is it that we can do that so that you're not paying it for 30 years? So we talk about a lot of different insurance products and solutions along that with regards to that because that's often not discussed. No one really talks about insurance solutions that are out there that help with that we can create a complete program for you to say, okay, this is how this is going to go. You invest in here because it is an investment for you. Oftentimes, we're like, oh, I don't want another bill. It's not another bill. This is an investment that is going to pay dividends because one, it's going to help pay off that first home, and then two, it's going to provide you an asset because when those lenders are looking for your assets, guess what?
Mm,
This is considered an asset,
yep.
right? And now, guess what? Now you can build. Now you can buy that next home.
And
So
life insurance is the last bastion in Canada of tax-free opportunities, and
okay,
it can go into
hmm,
your portfolio. So I had
yes,
this all explained to me by one of the top insurance investment experts here
hmm,
in Calgary, and I'm like, "Ah, I did not know that. I
yeah,
did not know that." So yeah, and you can actually put it into your wealth portfolio. It's an asset.
absolutely,
I had no clue.
absolutely.
I thought it was like honestly, I thought it was like dental insurance.
Right, and that's what most people do think. They think, "Well, I
I
mean,
think
I
they need
have."
to change the name.
Maybe that's the solution because the whole idea of insurance for people don't it doesn't click for them. Not until they sit down and have a full conversation. They're like, "Oh, wow. It could do
Yeah.
that, and it could do that, and it could do
Mhm.
this." And I'm like, "Yes, these are all the things that it can do, including tax-free income when you retire."
I had no yeah, I this was all and I have done, like, over 1,500 real estate transactions, uh, numerous and I'm sitting down and I'm going, "Oh, so
Yeah,
life insurance is really actually um, it's actually like a wealth policy or it's an asset. It's an asset based on the value of your life."
right. It's a wealth building tool.
Yeah, I have
It's
yeah.
definitely a wealth building tool.
And you know what? We don't talk about this stuff often enough. Okay, now we're gonna go on to one of my favorite segments, hidden
Okay.
gems. Let's talk about what are some of the cool things in and around your market that you love going to. You already talked about like the 5 Points, and they have
Yep.
cool little
5
stores,
points.
um, coffee
Um,
shops, or
So I love this coffee shop. Well, it's not a coffee shop. It's a I think of it as a French deli because it's I think the owners are French or Belgian or something along those lines, and they have a lot of different pastries and cookies and sandwiches and soups and everything is so good. And it's called Alon's Bakery. They have two locations, one in the North Highlands and one on Peachtree Street, right at the not the Lenox Mall, but the what do I can never remember the other mall because I never go into it. But anyway, it's right next to the Lenox Mall. But they have the best food. They have the best sandwiches. They have the cookies. I've had people who say I'm not really a cookie person, and they've been turned around when they have these cookies. So it's called Alon's Bakery. What other places do I really love? I love Gosh, what is the name of that other place? Green Love Kitchen. Green Love Kitchen is located in Lithonia, Georgia, which is east of Decatur, and it is a family owned restaurant. They are fresh made every single day. Everything from a curry salmon to great vegetarian options, great wraps. So I love them. Green Love Kitchen. Then we have, gosh, what else? Tiselli's, which I go to all the time. They have great wraps. They're a completely vegetarian place. They have this great kale wrap. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And it's huge. Like I literally cannot finish it in one eating. So, and the price point is really good.
I
So
love it
those,
when you can get something and it's like a meal and a half. So then
yes,
I have my lunch for tomorrow all ready to go.
exactly. So some of those are some of my favorite places. And I go to Croc Street Market. That is a kind of like a not a cafeteria where but kind of an establishment. You go in, they have multiple different eateries in there, and they have great sushi. They have these great chicken fillies that are really great. They've got pho, so it's a smorgasbord of different foods that you eat in there, and I love going there. It's just I just go there, and then they have just seating that you can sit around and just chat, and typically it's busy on a regular
And
basis.
Georgia tends to have, because it has such a nice climate,
Mhm.
tends to have, it sounds as if you have a lot of community events. So
Yes.
does each community have multiple events in it?
Yes, it does. And I am a huge festival goer. Like I love that is something that I look forward to every year, every spring. Because we start our festivals in early spring. The first official festival that supposedly kicks off all the other festivals. It's called Dogwood Festival. It's in Piedmont Park. It is huge. There's food and music and art, and it's just a lot of fun. It's just one of those festivals that you just go and you enjoy the sun, and it's just kind of like, whew, okay, we're about to go into spring and summer. Now, mind you, I understand that I'm not like most people. I love the heat. Not everybody loves the heat, but but
Yep.
I do. But yeah, there's the Ormwood Park Festival. There is the gosh, they have so many. So Dogwood, like I said, literally probably every weekend from spring until about now, you're gonna find a festival.
So get your walking shoes because Atlanta's got something for everyone, eh?
Oh yes, absolutely. Like I said, if you can't find something that you like, you don't want anything. Like you
Yeah,
just
you're not looking hard enough.
you're not looking hard enough, because trust me, that's one reason why I wanted to move. Apart from my family being here, why I wanted to move to Georgia was, even though I was in the Bay Area in San Francisco, and you would think, okay, there's so many things going on there, but really not. Every time I looked up, I would say, oh, I want to go see such and such person. They're like, well, they're not playing here, but they're playing in Atlanta, or their tour isn't coming here, but it's going to Atlanta. So I was like, well, it sounds like that's where I need to be.
Sounds like that's where but Atlanta, don't move there, folks. Not right now. No.
No, no, no.
I
We
know.
have enough.
But if
We
you're
have
gonna
enough.
move, you gotta call Hanifa. So,
Yes.
Hanifa is your gal. She knows the area, especially within the inner core, and to get you all set up. Um, I always close the show out because we know that with an 87% fail rate in real estate and with all
Mhm.
of the kind of misconceptions around what a real estate agent does,
Right.
a lot of new agents can be pretty lost.
Oh, yes.
What would be one thing that you would tell new agents that they needed to get up and do every day, knowing that real estate is a life choice, not a job?
Ooh, the one thing to get up and do every day. Um, I would say the one thing would be to work your database every single day. The money is in the phone. That's where it is. It's in the phone. If you don't like making calls, door knock. find homes that have sold, create some flyers, educate the neighbors around that particular home that has sold, and door knock. Meet people. You cannot grow a real estate business behind your computer. As my mentor told me years ago, stop being a secret agent. Get out there, do something, let people see your face. So there's so much that you can do, and not everyone likes everything. So because there's such a vast amount that you can do within the real estate business, you can find something, whether it's calls, whether it's door knocking, whether it's open houses. Um, there's something out there that you can do to put your face out there to let people know that you're a real person and that you're doing this. And apart from that, I would say get a mentor. Get a mentor. I did not have a mentor for many years, and it's a wonder that I was able to be successful at all. But when I got a mentor and started working with a mentor, my business exploded, and it was not even something that I even foresaw. I just, knew, okay, well, at this point, I knew something was missing in my business, and it wasn't until I got that mentor that I was able to break that barrier and go to the next level. So,
Yeah.
get a mentor.
Yeah. We were part of the Buffini program for years. I subscribed to Brian Buffini. I still like to listen to his podcasts,
Mhm.
but he's a community-based agent. He's not a tech-based. He does do a
Right,
bit on the tech side, nurture your CRM, but
right.
really exactly what you're saying, get out there.
Yeah,
Um, you know, and now with deep fake and all these other things, I think the public really wants to see you. They want to know that
right,
you're a real human being, that you really do care about their
right.
community. So
Exactly.
I'm going to pull up your socials here, and what I'd like you to do now is just uh go through and can you spell out also, so for our
Mhm.
Audible audience that
Yes.
they can then write it down?
Sure. So Instagram, you can find me at Ujima Realty Group, and that's UJIMAREALTYGROUP. That is my business page. I have a personal page as well on there, and that is at Hanifa E7, and that is HAN as in Nancy, I, F as in Frank, A, E as in Edward, and the number 7. On Facebook, you can find me at Ujima Realty Group. Again, that's UJIMAREALTYGROUP. And then again, Facebook, my personal page is my first and last name, Hanifa Magaffie, which is HAN as in Nancy, I, F as in Frank, A. Last name is McGaffie, MCGA, F as in Frank, F as in Frank, IE. And then finally, LinkedIn, same first name, last name, Hanifa Magaffie. So,
Awesome. And your
and
website
then my
and your website?
website is www.ujimarealtygroup.com.
That is awesome. That is awesome. You are a true treasure, and Atlanta is lucky to have you.
Thank
And
you.
what a cool opportunity! Raising your family close to your parents and having
Yes.
that community, and then
Yes.
building community further. That is
Absolutely.
that is amazing.
I am
I
blessed.
I truly appreciate your time because I know our time is our most valuable resource. And I
Yes,
want
it
to
is.
thank the audience for taking your time to listen to Hanifa and what she can share.
Yes.
Whether you're a real estate agent just coming into the market or an agent who's looking to scale and you're sitting here going, what am I missing? There's huge amounts of gold within this conversation. And hey, if you're having to watch this because you love everything and all things real estate and you're thinking maybe George is it, give Hanifa a call. Until next
Appreciate it.
time, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us at the 500 Doors Your Real Estate Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share.